Never mind, that's not outside artillery range.
I think you died again.
Oh, how you doing, Mojo?
There it is. It's finally working.
Did you
You know
go?
when you update drivers,
Oh.
and then everything stops working?
Oh, you don't update drivers.
Yeah, I had to this time.
Yeah, tell Windows no. Tell Windows no. This is why I'm not streaming on YouTube yet, because I'd need to update the Stream Deck, and every single time I update Stream Deck, it uninstalls itself and then says I'm going to update, and then fails to do the actual update and reinstall part. So I'm actually left worse off every time.
Does the Stream Deck open the browser every time it turns on?
No.
It does that for me.
What did you do?
It keeps saying,
It's a setting.
yeah. It's the Twitch account stuff. It's confused.
Yeah, mine does that. Except mine's doing it not with Twitch, but with YouTube. I have to log into YouTube like 5 times.
Yeah. And every time, like even if if the Stream Deck power cycles, it'll do it again.
Possibly, I don't know. I don't power cycle it. I finally got a powered hub. It's all plugged into a powered hub, and well, that's not my problem anymore. And now it's a powered hub with like the other Stream Deck and half a dozen other things. I actually have 3 USB ports. No, never mind. Didn't make it. Oh.
So I heard you like parameterized blueprints.
I did. I've already read it. You've read it?
Briefly.
So, before we start, whilst I go collect past Jenny, what do you see as biggest, most common use scenario? Because the example was given with train stations. I don't see it with train stations.
No, train stations I don't think really gives it the most. Maybe, see, the thing is with train stations is that now you have train stop limits. You don't need to set individual names anymore. So probably the biggest need for trains is already gone.
Well, Corex is playing with filter inserters for every train station.
Yeah, for filter inserters it makes sense still.
And previously you just do that with a wire condition and a constant combinator and done.
Yeah.
Because it was
And
just easier.
assuming that you don't have other wiring, because then it conflicts with other wiring.
Well, we use 2 different colored wires for exactly the reason if we have 2 different colored wires.
Yeah, it's not always possible.
Fucking artillery?
Is the artillery actually targeting you?
Yeah. Yeah, Redmi is really nice with this particular scenario. It doesn't just target military structures, it targets players. I really hope that corpse, wherever it is the one with the decent armor. I have a feeling it's not. Oh, it's going to expire in 2 minutes. No, my good armor disappeared again. Okay! Alright, how do I...
Mining outposts, however, would still be useful.
Mining outpost. For...
Setting what the actual train stop and if it's a bot one, setting the actual requests for the requester chests.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the best train one that I can think of.
Well, I thought about a bot mall. So you could... I don't even have the photo facts open. Oh, I do have the photo facts open. Okay.
Well, there was already a mention of maybe having it so it can do, oh, you want to build this, put the requests for X in...
Yeah, it narrows down the requests. That was one of them.
Yeah, that seems to be what everyone's keen on.
So if you look in everything, Factorio, someone actually posted it.
This must have happened since the last look. What? What?
Where was it? Was it on Factorio?
GG, but also very useful for wall design. Okay. Yeah, so I posted that one. So for Botmore, a massive time saver, parameter A could be the recipe. Parameters B, C, D, and E would be the ingredients. Parameter A could also be saved to the output inserter to cap how many items you want in the logic network. Parameters B through to E could automatically set the requests into the requested chest. You could also use the user override, the variable in each of the requests if you wanted to, because they have this formula. And rather than using a formula, you can just set a hard value. All right.
So if you have a look at the thing I posted, Reddit link.
That link. Good point. You can do it, but probably makes sense to make it possible somehow. Reason how what? Count of items needed for what? Can I make a movement where I choose the items going to create and the request chest ask for X times the ingredients and maybe the number of items is huge. It's configured to only ask for that divided by 2 times the ingredients.
Additional copy and paste, basically.
You can't do it now, but it probably makes sense to make it possible somehow. Reasoning thing could be have an option add 2 specific numeric pattern. Count the items needed for craft time. Oh, so they're gonna do it with a formula to work out the craft time.
Yep. So basically, what additional copy and paste does.
Yep.
Just in.
Andy the Slayer, how you doing? I'm doing all right. We're about to do Friday Facts live on stream. See, I said you could take item to craft, automatically list the variables for the item for the recipe, but also set the max cap for the output inserter. Because I assume, as that's a logistic cap, you could set that to the same parameter value. So it would be value 0, the item that you want to craft. And also automatically set the requests according to parameters 1, 2, 3, 4. Trinus came back just in time then, pretty much. Okay, I need to refresh this page so it reloads all the videos. Please, Chrome, refresh. What is it? Control F5, Control R, Shift R, Shift F5. It's Shift F5 because every browser has.
Delete the spelling error.
What?
The spelling error is gone now.
Oh, there's a spelling error. Was there?
Yeah, there's a spelling error in one of the pictures.
Oh, which one?
There
was.
Yeah, was. Keep going down. What was it? It was the one which shows the box with parameterized build. Yeah, it's on screen now.
The wanted count was
yeah, wanted count was wanted.
Oh, this one. Oh, they actually updated the image. Normally it's a -1 because they leave the old image up there. Oh well, doesn't matter.
It was the one below.
One below? This one. Yeah, no, normally they just put a -1 on the end and they leave the old image. Okay. So, are you good, Mojo?
Yep.
Okay, then I need to do that. I also need to go to parameterization was also the correct spelling. Did they uncorrect the spelling? Did they? Or they correct it now? Because it's a spelling error. The chance of me seeing it is about 0. 0.0. I need to go there. I need to go to that. And can I do a... That. disable all. And we can leave that one active. Nope, still error. Which one? The one I was just looking at? This one? That one? That one. That one? That doesn't have... It must be this one. Blueprint parameterization. T-E-R. Oh, there's no E in there. There you go. That's right. They spell as well as I do.
Parameterization.
That's right. It's also in the alt text. Okay. That's right. I do spell well. They spell well. We're all good spell well. All right. Change rooms. Okay. Done. More done. 2 hours, 50 minutes. You good, Mojo?
Yep.
All right. G'day, mate, and welcome to Friday Facts number 392. Parameterized blueprints with parameters. And not welcome to my good friend Mojo, who's a blueprint. Welcome to 2024. How you doing, mate?
Hello, 2024. How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing all right. So we're going to be covering something new with blueprints, which is
Hot off the presses.
hot off the presses and weird. It's not something I think is very, very, very important this time. It's interesting, don't get me wrong, and it's something that the player base has worked around for a very, very long time. But it's obviously something Covrex has just encountered. Yeah.
Yes, it's something that we've been dealing with for a really long time, and it's something that we just sort of live with forever, really.
Well, ever since Smart Inserters, I think we can go back that far, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Before a filter
as Smart
inserter was the
Inserts.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you could wire inserters.
You had to wire it to a smart inserter. It had to be a smart inserter.
Specifically a smart inserter. Only
Yep.
smart inserters could be wired to the circuit network.
Yeah.
This is how far back we're going.
Yeah. So motivation. Most common motivational example is train unloading station. Typically have a whole setup of blueprints, rails, train stops, filter inserters to avoid contamination, etc. The funny thing is, he uses filter inserters for loading and unloading. That's only for the people who don't trust themselves. Okay. It's nice, but whenever I build a blueprint, I need to reconfigure all the filter inserters to set to the new target item. Also change the name. Stop. It's tedious. This I agree to. 100% tedious. 100% tedious, and this is why nobody has filter inserters. They copy across really quickly, but
They copy. Yeah. The shift click is fairly quick, but also just having a blueprint with that setting works too. The only downside is then you need like 30 blueprints.
yeah,
Each of the different items.
30 and the rest, and yeah, it's.
And then the train stop names.
The train stop names is probably the most frustrating part, but then it's one of those things you only set once per game. Like, if you're dropping off ammo, you're dropping off fish, you're dropping off this, you're dropping off that. It's something you only set once per game, and then if you need to find it again, you literally look for the last one on the map and you copy paste the station name. You know, it's just one of those things. So, yes, Covrex found this long and monotonous and annoying, and most players up until now would change the station name and then have a single constant combinator right there, and you just change the setting on the constant combinator, which would set all the filters for all the filter inserters. Also,
Which would work until you had actual circuit network connected to it, then the two would conflict with each
well,
other.
you just have to have two different wires. That's why we have two different wires.
Yeah,
But also I
until
have
the
to
circuit
ask,
network needs
why
both
are we
wires.
using filter inserters, not stack filter inserters?
That is the real question, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're only mid-game. But even then, filter inserters you actually get fairly early on.
Okay.
They're not that difficult.
There are two ways to solve this. The circuit network, it feels like overkill. More on that later. You also can't set the train stop name by the circuit network at the moment. Can with mods. So having one specific blueprint for each item sounds like a nightmare. Definitely. So they've
Definitely never done that before.
so they've added new parameterized blueprints. So naturally, it's to a definition of what we want, and we want a blueprint which doesn't have a specific item configuration, but rather it's generic and allows you to configure it directly each time you build it. The question is, how do we implement it without adding unnecessary GUI clutter in a way, unless we care about this specific feature? So we added first piece possible reconfiguring existing blueprints. For simplicity, let's take this example of constant combinator configured like this. So we've got a copper, an iron, and an X. Make a blueprint of it. We're going to access the new main tool used for reconfiguration. So the name parameters is a custom parameter that you can type in whatever you want. Also, there's a whole lot of tick boxes in here that we
All
can.
of the stuff and junk that doesn't make much sense.
Correct. So the first and most simple of this is to change one section of the blueprint to another. If you want to change all the places where X signals used in the blueprint to Y, then I just change the value in the UI and confirm, and the blueprint is just reconfigured. Same with changing all 5s in the blueprint. Yep, so all 5s would change to whatever number you want. Practically everything and number you can have in an entity can be reconfigured with this feature. Inserters, filters, assemblers, recipes, circuit network settings, combination configuration, logistics requests, inventory filters, even rich text icons. The last one can be used to change the name of the train stop as long as you make the rich text part of it. This is already an improvement. We could always reconfigure a blueprint to a different item before building it, but it still isn't good enough. Now, before we go any further, with just this implementation, I think this is going to be critically valuable for those who set up bot networks and do a bot mall. Because the simple fact that currently, if I set up my first machine with a passive provider, a request chest, an inserter in, an inserter out, and an assembler with a power pole, recipes done, and we're good to go. But after I've got my first machine, I take it and I copy it and I paste it beside it. I change the recipe on the assembler. I use the shift click thing to copy the recipes to the request chest, to update the request chest, which already had the old recipes, so already has Logibots coming and delivering crap I don't need. So I can then remove that chest and then undo it to put it straight back, so then it has the new requests, and the robots that are in the air just get to, I don't know, put that other stuff in storage. And then if I'm using a logistic filter for my output, rather than just capping the chest, I then need to go in there and change that as well. Which is a lot of clicking and a lot of fiddling. So I agree for that aspect, which I think is the main place players are going to start using this. Be able to just change your output item, which then changes your input items, and then changes your 5 values. So you want 5 in the network, very quickly and very easily, and not have robots flying across the map delivering iron to something that needs steel is going to be a very big improvement. But then they added more to make it more of a complete, more of a complete feature. Okay. So the first step was to assign some special IDs called parameters for items, recipes, fluids, and entities. These have no meaning outside the parameterization context. They are just used for blueprint generic configuration. They're normally not selectable anywhere in the game outside the blueprint configuration menu, but for power users, there is an interface setting to make them actually available everywhere. And I actually think there's a lot of people going to want to turn that on straight away.
Very much so. Or use the icons for stuff. For things where they don't really fit.
Yeah, intentionally use the icons for, map markers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, not realizing what they actually do.
Yeah.
And fully understanding.
Yeah, but you always want extra. I always find I want extra icons, especially if they're icons that have no meaning. This is why we have lots of people that have fish on filter splitters. So they can't have the 2 items that sit on the side of the belt they're not using. They filter that side to fish because they don't like the 2 items being wasted, and it makes their OCD happy. Not the fact that their whole splitter, their chain is covered with fish.
Yeah, and the whole chain is moving, like 14,000 something
Yeah.
a minute.
And they're worried about three items.
And you're worried about 4 hanging off the splitter.
Yeah. So back to the original blueprint. We can now reconfigure it for like this. So the wanted item, number 1, is a value of O parameter. Wanted item number 2 is 1 parameter. The wanted count is 5, and the control signal of a parameter 2, and then a value of 7. So here is specified all 3 IDs to be parameters. Number 5 is still used for both the items to be parameterized as well. Filling up the name is not necessary, but it's useful for the user of the blueprint to know what is asked for in the next step, which is one thing I really, really like. It's one thing that Captain of Industry and also Dyson Sphere have done. You can, when you make a blueprint, you can add text. You can add some sort of clue as to the random person who downloads your blueprint 3 years later has some idea of how it works. Because all too often I see, actually, Mojo, you might be able to agree with me on this. The wonderful magic book of all things balances.
Yeah.
And how there's every combination to every combination balancer.
Yeah. There's even a 1-to-1.
Yep. Even though most of them are not throughput unlimited and have giant problems and don't actually balance.
They all
things
have all
correctly.
kinds of problems.
Yeah, but everybody has a copy of this because they're super popular. Except it's wrong. But you you need 2 balancers, 3 if you're a power user. You need the 4x4, the 8x8, and the 16x16. And
That's all you need.
And that is anything up to 4 to anything down to up to 4, down to 4, whatever. And then same goes with 8 and same goes with 16. It's all guaranteed to mix it all together beautifully and spit it out the other side. If you want the 32 and the 64, send me a DM. And if you want the 128, send me a very polite DM.
Download the mod that generates them.
And then the 248 lane balancer, that requires you have 32 gig of RAM available just to make the blueprint. Another story for another time. Okay. So new blueprints and care about details is how the build blueprint goes. So this video, I think, probably explains this the best. So we can set a recipe. I was going to set the recipe of the first building, then the second building, and then the circuit item setter, which just has no relevance whatsoever, and then constant load, which again has no relevance. But the point is that going from my comment earlier about setting bot malls, it now means that yes, I can set the recipe for both the assembler and also the maximum count and logistics network, and also set the requests.
All the bots settings for the input and output chests.
Yes. And
mainly input.
And input and also the output inserter. So they can all be done.
Yes, so it can stop the outputting when there's enough.
Yeah. So it can all be done before you paste it down, and then it just works. So you end up with one single template that you can use
works.
it just works. Yep. You can use in any playthrough, and that includes modded playthroughs. That's going to be a big thing, because bot malls is one of those things that I find really, really common in stupid mod playthroughs, where there is 153,000 intermediates, and 5 lots of
anyone.
5 lots of assembly machines that all require assembly 1 to make assembly 2 to make assembly 3 to make assembly 4 to make assembly 5.
I feel like there's some PSD.
Yes, there is.
PTSD.
There is.
Underlying PTSD.
Yeah.
PTSD
C blocks
there.
is still under my skin. Yeah. Okay.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Got the confession.
Yeah. So, with the new parameterized blueprints, setting up these stations now are a breeze. And yes, it is set station 1, which could be anything, and then set station 2, and it's just going to set the station names, which we can't see. Thanks, devs. You did a good job on that video. Also, it's going to set all the filter inserters, which
should be stack filter inserters.
Yes. So we have made a step forward. We're now setting the station names as well. I think that's the big change.
Big one for me is setting the station names.
It is the big one, but prior to this, you just stamp down the blueprint and then change a constant combinator to change the recipe filter items. Yes.
Assuming you don't want to do other wiring things, as I alluded to before.
Yeah. Use different colors. Okay. So this is already useful, but it's still not good enough. Why? Because sometimes parameters are expected to be related to each other, and force the user of a blueprint to always fill them out correctly is not good form. no, it does require that the user has some competence, and not all users have some competence. What I mean by dependencies, let's say I have a blueprint to craft an item with 3 ingredients, parameters 1, 2, 3, and take the ingredients from the train network. Naturally, I can make a big setup with 3 input stations, each parameterized to be one of the inputs, and a row of assembly machines, parameterized to create the design item, parameter 0. But whenever I want to build this blueprint, I have to remember to manually fill all the 3 ingredients for design items, which would not only slow me down, but also open up the possibility of mistake. This way parameters can be configured with the ingredient of another parameter automatically instead of having to fill it in. So now you're going to automatically set the recipe items back to my botmole example of, hey, I want to make, I don't know, belts. It's going to automatically assign gears and iron as the only 2 options I have for when choosing what my ingredients are to come into that request chest. So less chance of screwing things up, which I'm sure not everybody has ever played Factorio far too late in the night, got up the next morning and gone, what the hell was I thinking last night? Because I've played Factorio for 12 hours, 16 hours straight.
I question the fact that there was sleep in between.
Look, sleeping in the chair passed down the keyboard is valid as long as you don't leave an imprint of any of the keys on your forehead. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. So dependent numbers. We can also set them. So this is where we've taken it one step further, and they've added a formula. So in this case, they've gone for a formula being x being the variable of whatever they've put in as that parameter of +1, so it gives us a value of 101, or as a value of x to the power, x times 2 to give us a value of 200. So they can also start setting numbers in with formula. I don't know. I don't see this being used that often.
It's... I mean, it has potential, but it's something that could be... It's a bit more eccentric.
I could definitely say thanks for adding it. I just can't see its use case currently. The fact that we've got formula in there, the fact that we've got variables in there, and we can use the variables to work out the formula, that's great. Like, again, back to the very simple botmole, you want 100 belts, so you're going to request in a value of X. I don't know. Iron
Times crafting speed and the crafting factor.
But you don't have the crafting speed. That's not available.
Yeah, that's the thing. And there is actually discussion about making that available.
There is a discussion on Reddit. Kovarex has said, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll add it. Because yes, currently if you do a copy and paste from the assembler to a requester chest, it requests a minute's worth of ingredients for crafting. So things that craft very, very quickly request an awful lot of stuff, and things that take a very long time to request very, very few. Which does mean there's some situations, like if you say a rocket silo into a requester chest, you end up overflowing the requester chest because it's requesting in
100 rocket silos, which is more silos they can hold.
No. When you copy the requester chest, so it's requesting in that crap ton of. Oh, actually, yeah, I think rocket silos don't take long to craft.
Yeah, they are pretty slow.
No, I think they're reasonably quick. I think they're less than a minute. I think they're 30 seconds. To do a rocket silo. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they are 30 seconds. I don't remember.
I know.
I don't really think about.
I know satellites. Satellites are really bad because they need a whole lot of low density structures, and it'll request
they have 5 ingredients.
Well, that and the amount of low density structures they request overflows the requester chest. So if you
it's more than what a chest can hold.
Yeah, if you just right click copy paste, you end up with a situation where the chest eventually gets jammed, having nothing in it but low density structures and no room for anything else. So yeah, having the crafting speed would be helpful, but also, yeah, I don't know if you can automatically say, okay, request in, one of the ingredients you need for making belts, say iron, and the other one being gears. And if you know the ratio is like 1 to 2 or something, you could probably pre-customize these to a certain amount. Or say, hey, I only want 100 belts as output, so I want you to request in, 100 belts divided by 2, so half the amount of ingredients, as a pre-made like template for a bot mall. But I can't see this getting a whole lot of use as a presetting in the requests for a specific set of a variable set of numbers according to formula. That's the words I'm looking for. I think just a flat value would probably be better. Or, rely on the player to set things correctly. I know that comes with a high risk. Like Mojo has found out with his, what's that thing called? You make everything, make almost everything. Yeah. Very high tech, many wires, guaranteed to work every time. Never has ever had a customer support complaint about it.
It's never had a blueprint. It's never been so complicated that it has a blueprint fault. As in the game, it's so complicated the blueprint isn't guaranteed to stamp down 100% correctly every time.
That was fixed mostly by blueprinting it twice, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, sometimes some of the wires might decide not to connect.
Or combinator settings just randomly get forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
That's the most common one.
So, yeah, a nice feature. I think this is going to be nice to have. Without knowing more about what's in our expansion /DLC /1.2 2.0, I can't see a great use for this. Apart from like bot malls and train stations. They're the really two. Being able to set a bot mall with a generic blueprint and a train station with, your item pickup. So be it iron ore, copper ore, coal, any of these, having a generic blueprint to do that. Same with the unloading stations. And being able to not so much set the filter inserters, because don't put the wrong train in the wrong station. That's my answer. And if you do, you'll learn your mistake once by having to clear off all the belts manually. But yeah, the ability to be able to auto set train station names is very handy, I guess. Interesting.
It's probably the most useful feature. It's being able to set train stop names.
Yeah. So, conclusion. Factorio has been compared to programming many times. It's just another part of the analogy. Almost everything you can do with parameters blueprints can be done through the circuit network logic, so it's almost redundant. In programming, the parallel is compile time function execution versus a runtime function execution. Basically, you know the result of the computation already whilst compiling the program. It would be a waste to calculate it every time the program is run. You could just put the number directly in the program, which is very similar to knowing, and that this setup will always be filtered to take iron and gear wheels, so it feels a little bit wasteful to make a circuit network logic around it, just to simplify the building process. And yes, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm interested to hear your feedback as well. I want to know any places where myself and Mojo can't think of like where this would be commonly used.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of uses because, like, the biggest places where I would have needed it have already been replaced already with, like, the train stop limits, which eliminated needing unique names for every train stop.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things back in the day. We would, back in the day, you either had to name every single iron outpost as a unique number and then set a unique amount of trains, or eventually we got to the stage where we could turn on and off stations with a signal network. So you call them all iron.
Trains don't get stuck.
Well, they always need a backup station.
They do, yes.
So...
And my, the train outpost controller system that I made somewhat managed to deal with that.
Well, you get to the stage by if an outpost had enough iron ore in it, the station would be open. Otherwise, if it didn't, it'd be off. And the only time you'd have an issue is if you had lots of trains on the network and every station had to be happen to be off at the exact same time. At which point, all the trains would very much complain and say no path.
Yes.
There were solutions for that?
I mean, my solution predated even turning the train stop off by just not letting the trains out until it had enough to actually pick up. So I never needed to turn them off.
Yeah, that's more advanced, more complicated, more wires, more...
Oh,
more,
yeah, it's very complicated. It's actually pretty simple compared to most solutions.
It's like
it was elegantly simple.
You trying to wire the signals up with wires to try and get a higher train throughput through T-junctions and stuff. It can be done. It doesn't mean you should do it, Mojo. Okay?
I mean, it did require 2 separate books. I needed one book just for all the different outposts, and then another book for all the different outpost controllers.
Yeah, see.
And then each one needed to be set up manually.
See.
Yeah.
Train stop limits
So, like,
fix a whole lot of problems.
It did, because it's like you have to set the tell the controller to set the outpost number, and then the outpost number had to match the train stop name.
Yeah.
So the right trains arrived at the right stop.
Yeah. See, train stop limits fixed this problem.
Yes, it did.
This
Made the entire thing redundant.
This has fixed a problem that doesn't really exist apart from those that wish to run filter inserters that happens to share the same name as the train station stop. Yeah.
And people who
but
don't
more.
use circuit network on the filter inserters. Because as
Yep.
soon as you put filter inserters on it, you can't program them to do something. I keep saying.
You can filter them. You can filter them to do something and also filter them to do you can
tell. I can tell you never tried because you would know straight away. Anyone who's ever tried will know.
You can
what I'm talking about.
You can set a filter on one wire and you can set conditions on a separate wire.
You can, but it assumes that you have that wire available, or both wires available, or one wire available, and you don't need both, or you may need both.
Well, if you're trying to read back on one wire that's only setting a filter condition, then you can still read back off that wire and just use a combinator to remove the filter item to get a flat number.
What if you're filtering the same item?
Oh my god, I'm done, Mojo. I'm done. I'm done.
So the thing,
all right.
The thing.
Yep.
This is the thing I would actually do it for is train outposts, because I have this uncanny ability that I can lay down 4 outposts, iron, copper, stone, coal, and then somehow end up with 3 different stops that are slightly different to each other.
How do you do that?
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Somehow they always end up slightly different.
Mojo needs more sleep and needs to take a break between this Factorio session and the next Factorio session. So he stops making mistakes. And with that said and done, we're going to let Mojo have a whole week off. He's going to have a little nap, and we'll see you guys back for Friday Facts number 393. Which, I'm still hoping we get something about biters.
I mean, we're all holding out for the biter FFF.
Yep, either that or next week we're going to have not 2 wire colors, but we're going to have 4. That solves all Mojo's problems. Anyway, that's it. We're out. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Bye. Nothing from Mojo? Okay.
Bye-bye. No, it didn't go.
There you go. Okay.
There you
All
go.
right. Yep. Okay. So 4 wires. This solves all Mojo's problems. Yeah. More colors. More colors makes it all more better. And who is that?
Just have this
Good.
large power pole just be the spaghetti tree of wires.
Well, you saw the one where there was no limit to how many wires you could run off a large power pole to a power switch, right? No?
Yeah, there's no limit.
Yeah, so you could have a large power pole with like 80 or 100 wires? To 80 or 100 power switches? Have you not seen this image? Because it doesn't use one of the wire connections. So you can
Someone actually just deliberately plug enough wires in to the point where...
Yes. It looked like a tent of wires. Okay. I don't even think a Google search will find it. Factorio large power pole and switch.
wasn't this in FFF not that long ago?
It wasn't an FFF at some stage.
Classic Reddit. Big electric pole, why?
It wasn't an FFF at some stage, but there was an example that I found on Reddit or something that was way better. Like the FFS had like 4 wires or something. This took things to a whole new level.
It's like the
No.
It's a blueprint which has something like 40,000 rail pieces in it, and it's just this little block, and it's got every rail in every
Oh yeah,
orientation,
every
and every
different
curve and
Yep.
everything.
Yep. 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 Because
Just the density of
why?
rails is absurd.
Why not? That's kilometer of 64 maximum connection poles. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there is a there is a blueprint, and I don't even think somebody did it by hand. I think somebody programmed it to get all the combinations in. It's like the 248 lane, no, 2048 lane balancer, and the 4096 lane balancer. The only way you get them is by running a program, and the program. You need 32 gig of RAM for the 2000 lane balancer, and the 4000 lane balancer crashes. The program can't run to actually create the blueprint. It gets like 3/4 of the way through, and then just dies. Okay. I used to do computers for a living and build my own systems, including server I have upstairs. That I will not turn on, as I enjoy being able to have pay my electricity bill. Yeah, no problem. I know that feeling. All right. Thank you, Mojo. You're done. You're off the hook.
Alrighty, yep.
You're
I
off
gotta
to
get out of here.
do social
Off
things.
to Hooper duper land.
And
Oompa Loompa land.
you're half hour early. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
It was a quiet Friday, Fax. You were betting on longer.
Oh no! I said it was. I was hoping for a quiet one, a short one, a simple one, which meant that it was a near guarantee there was going to be a stupid one.
It was.
Like,
Boss. I said you jinxed it, not me.
yeah, and apparently it turned out to be true.
Yep. Right. I will
Okay.
chat to you next week. Go enjoy your
Alrighty.
social things. Bye.
Stuff and junk. All right, see ya.